Welcome to the Our Town demonstration video on creating and using marker groups. First, from the home page, let me show you the drop-down box for groups. These are groups set up by users, of which you see about 6 groups set up by user Wildon, and 1 group set up by Bruchar. Now this group drop-down list is a list of all private group marker groups set up by the current user Wildon, plus all public groups, of which Bruchar is a public group. So if you're a user and set up 2 or 3 private groups, they will appear in your drop-down box. But no other user's drop-down box. But if you're a user and you set up public marker groups, they will appear in everyone's drop-down box. So we see the drop-down box for Wildon here, which includes all public groups set up, including public groups of others, like Bruchar, and it includes private groups. Now, for instance, if you notice this Wilson Ancestral Homes, which I'll select here, this one happens to be a private group that was set up by Wildon. Only Wildon can go to and use this private group. And I've set up the ancestral homes of my parents and grandparents, all in Richland County. For instance, this one is a dairy farm that my grandfather Donald Wilson, it was his ancestral home. Now let's go back to the home page and select My Account, which is the menu bar tab selection you would want to use to set up private group marker groups or public marker groups. Now let's look at private marker group or public marker groups, and you'll see a list of all public marker groups added by any user, of which you see the Bruchar group right here. One thing to note is that that user is the only one that can edit that group, whereas all of these other groups owned and created by Wildon, this user has edit group capabilities. For instance, if I select Edit Group, you'll see the parameters that are editable. Name of the group, Historic Kirkwood Landmarks, a description, which allows the user to put some text in there to further describe what this group name is about. And then there's 2 flags, a public-private flag, public or private, which this one was set up as private, and editable, either only by me or all users. Now I'm going to cancel this change, but in the private marker group groups, the editable by others or only by me is a flag that's really has no meaning, because you as the owner of a private group, you have all the control and you're the only one that has control. So let's go to, for instance, this first one, View Marker List, a public group set up by Wildon. Now here's then a drop-down list of all of the markers that have been set up in that group, and you can add to that group by selecting Add Marker to Group, and then a marker drop-down list. Excuse me, first you look at the drop-down list. A marker drop-down list of all the markers in the system appears, and you can select one and add it to this group. Now let's go up a little bit, and let's go back out to My Account. And let's look at my private marker group. And you'll see that one private group owned by Wildon, the Wilson Ancestral Homes with the dairy farm that we looked at the marker on, is the only one listed in the My Private Groups. And I can add a new group and you have that same input form. This is the same input form for both public and private marker groups. Name, description, private, yes, no, or public, and editable, all users or just myself. Now if I want to look at the marker list, who is in this group, what markers, there's a drop-down list here of all the markers in that group. And I can also select the drop-down list of all markers, and add another marker to this group if I wanted to. Let's go back to home, and the next demonstration video, Marker Groups Part 2, I'll show you how to set those up with the